The images that you're about to see at the beginning of the video are all created following the same process. It just then comes down to your own creativity and how you want to portray these images and what you want to get from them. Creativity isn't everyone. It's simply a case of being equipped with the tools to allow you to explore your creativity. Thanks again for tuning back into the channel. In this week's video, we are going to be looking at creativity and how to perhaps inspire that creativity and bring it out. But to do that, you need the tools to be able to do that. You need the tools to be able to envision your ideas, to make them materialise. And in this case, in Photoshop. So we're going to be taking a look at a series of steps, but not linear, that allowed me to create the images that you saw at the beginning. But we're going to do it with a different image just to show you how different an effect you can get with it. But before we dive into that, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has purchased the course so far. I really hope you are getting something from it and you've been able to pick up nuggets of information and perhaps create some really outstanding images with it. The feedback I've gotten so far, I have been really appreciative of. So just once again, thank you very much for that. So without further ado, let's dive into this week's video looking at, I'm not even going to say a set of tools, different steps that you can take to create different images. Okay, the first thing we're going to do with this is we're going to expand the canvas, and you will find that if I expand the canvas with the white showing, I don't get the best result. So what I normally do is I'll turn off the background layer so that it's transparent. In this case, both top and bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be quite generous in this and just select some of that there, ensuring that I'm on this layer here. Click Generative Fill and Generate. I'll then go through my options and choose the one that I like best, and it's going to be that one. So what I will do first of all, because I'm going to work through this entire image, if you were saving, what you could do to save space is delete the ones that you don't want, and that will save file space for you. But because I'm going to work this from the start to the end, I'm simply going to combine it down, which is Control and E, merge layers. Now that I have selected and merged down the base of this with the AI generation, what I'm going to do is copy the layer up, which is Control and J, and I'm just going to do this once just now. And then with the top layer selected, going to go to Filter, Blur Gallery and Path Blur. Now, if you've watched any of the previous videos, you will have seen that I've demonstrated how to use Path Blur before. I'm going to show you how to be, I suppose, in a way creative with a single object in it. So there's my first point there, and because this is a lily, I am going to take it down there. So I'm going to grab the arrowhead, take it down there, grab the centre and follow the spine of it just to about there. And then I'm going to do the same with the rest of them. Now that I've done that, I'm going to look for the speed that I would like with this. And that kind of effect might actually work for what we're about to do. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Remember, you can play around with the speed and the taper, which will give you a finer effect. See that in there? The taper is actually quite nice if I turn that back off. So it's entirely up to you how you do this. Let's just go with that and then just simply go up and click OK. And what we can do here is we can go in and play around with any of the blending modes. But what I'm going to do before I do that is show you something else. I'm going to copy this layer up again, which is my original layer, and just go Control and J. And just so that you know the difference, I'm going to right click here and colour this one in green. I'm going to move this to the top. And I'm simply going to go Filter, and you see that Path Blur is already selected. So that means the last edits that I did with path blur are going to be reapplied to this one. And if I just click path blur, so I don't need to go down here, back in, and then redo it again, I can simply click path blur. And you'll see that that one's done. I turn that one off, there's the original path blur, there's the other path blur, and you can see no difference to this. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to scale it up, but I'm simply going to turn down the opacity first, just so that I can see it. This is just a visual guide for me. And then go Control and T, which is free transform. From here, I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm going to scale it up. And if I hold down Alt, I can take it in that way, I can take it up the way. For me, I'm going to go up the way with this one. And what Alt does is it resizes it equally. And I'm going to leave that at that. This next one, I'm turning that layer off. This next one, I'm going to just size up slightly. Control and T, hold down Alt and grab any of the handles. It doesn't matter what handle you grab. And I'm going to do that. So that gives me, click OK. So that gives me the flower, one that's slightly larger and one that's larger again. Before I do anything else to this, I'm going to copy up my base layer once more, Control and J. And I'm going to take this one to the top, and you can see that there. And what I'm going to do with this top layer is simply select it, go down to the mask, hold down Alt, and click once. And that creates an inverted mask for me. So the next part of the process is going in and deciding what effects you want for these. So what I would normally do is I'll turn them off and I'll look at the one just above my base layer, and I'll look for a blending mode. So with some toing and froing between blending modes, for this image here, and remember each image will be different, I've ended up with screen for that layer at 100%. Darker colour for this layer at 70%. And this layer again, I may even scale. Control and T, hold down Alt. And I might go for that. That might be too much actually. Maybe just about there. You'll end up with what feels right for your images. That's the good thing with this. And even with this one at screen mode, it still looks okay for what I am trying to achieve. The next step in the process is go on to the hide all mask. Choose a brush, and in this case I've went for the first soft round brush in the general brushes. I've dropped the opacity down to 31 and the flow to 42. Now again, that will change for each individual image. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ensure I'm painting in white, and I'm just going to click once, twice, 3 times, until I get to the point that I'm happiest. Now you'll notice that it's hardly affecting it. So I'm going to take the brush size down. It's getting a whiter in the middle, and maybe take the brush size up once more, but bigger this time. Just to about there. So for this, quite happy with the final effect, but yet we're still not finished because we're going to create a triptych out of this image. What I can do is select that layer there, hold down Shift, select that layer and put them in a group. And then I can turn the group off. So you can see that we have this effect here. Next, what I'm going to do is Control and J twice. So that's copied the layers twice. We're now going to expand the canvas, but before we expand this canvas, we're going to go into View and ensure that Snap is turned on, because that will make your life a lot easier with what we're about to do. Take the crop tool, and you'll notice that the centre points are there. Take that centre point to that edge. Now, it doesn't matter if you're not accurate. I'll take it beyond in this case, and then click OK. And then what I'm going to do, using the Move tool, and with Auto Select Layer selected, move it to the side and hold down Shift, and that locks it, in this case, to the horizontal axis. And as soon as I get to that edge, you'll notice that the pink and this pink or purple line appears. That means it's exactly locked to the edge there. Repeat the process again, just taking this, and I'm going to take this beyond just to show you. Right, and then I'll click OK, and then I'll minimise this. And using the move tool, I'll just grab this one, start to move it, and then hold down Shift, and it locks it to the horizontal axis. And you'll notice if I take it beyond, you can see that background colour. I take it back, and the purple line appears, and it actually snaps to that axis. Now, the snapping also works with image edges when you do the crop. So I can drag that back, and it will snap to that. I'm quite happy with where they are, so what I'm going to do is just merge the layers down together. Now, you don't have to do this, but it's just for space saving and so that you guys can see my layer structure. Control and E with the top layer selected. We now have the two together. I'm again with the top layer selected, Control and E, and we now have the three together. Going to get back to the crop tool, and this time I'm going to ensure delete cropped pixels is ticked. Double click inside. Now we've got no information outside of this area at all. If you have a smart object that you haven't rasterized, the information still sits in this grey area here. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to get into my actions, and I'm going to choose 4-inch border and press play. And then I'm going to close my actions and Control and 0, and that's the image we have now. If you're unsure how to create a white border, there will be plenty of videos on YouTube that shows you how to do that and save it as an action. If by chance you've purchased the course that I recently released, it shows you in there as well. But you will find plenty of videos online to do that if you don't want to purchase the course. Next thing we're going to do is split these up. How we're going to do that is go into the line tool. If I click the line tool, you'll see that the weight is already 21 pixels. The fill colour is black. I want the fill colour white. And what you can do, because we have snap on, it snaps to guides, layers, and document bounds. So if we have the ruler on, which is Control or Command and R, and you go onto the ruler and you drag across, and you put it over one of the images just at the edge and take it to the next image, put it over that edge. With the line tool selected, click on the line, hold down Shift, and again that snaps it to, in this case, the vertical, and let go. I've now let go of Shift. I'm clicking once more and dragging down. And if I just go to the move tool, you will notice that we've now split this image into a triptych. To hide your guides, you can either press Control or Command and H and they will hide, or you can take them back off to the edge because we don't need them again. So we now have this triptych. I'll just press F in the keyboard twice. We've now got this triptych. What else can we do to this? Now we're just being creative, and hopefully along the way you're picking up hints and tips on how to edit these types of images. So to get back out of the full screen view, I can press F once more or escape. These two lines, I like them there and I want them to stay there. So what I can do is select one of the lines and select the other while holding down Shift, right click, rasterize layers, and then I'm just going to simply blend them down onto this layer here. Just again, space saving. And that's Control or Command and E. And then once more, and that is them in that document there. So what else can we do to this? Well, if we take a new layer and we go up into the rectangular marquee, and we just hold down, and I'm outside of this. As you can see, just outside the white there, and just outside the white, and I can select that. Then I can go up into adjustments, and I can click hue saturation, and then colorize. And you notice that changes the colour, and it only changes the colour of the image because the white has no colour information. So I can then go through and I can decide, right, okay, let's go for that there. And then they would do the same with the next one. But I'm going to show you a very quick way of doing it. If I select the layer we have just created and press Ctrl and J, it's twice on here now. If I turn that off, you shouldn't see too much of a difference. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click here. Colorize is there. I'm going to take that back to red. We will adjust this later. And I'm going to take it just to there so that you can see the visual difference. If we go in here, which is the link, and this link is linking the mask to the hue saturation. If we click the link, it disappears. If we then click the mask, and using the move tool, grab the mask, hold down shift, and it will stay in the same, in this case, horizontal axis. And we can drop it in place. I'll just nudge it over slightly with the arrow keys in the keyboard and then lock it again. So very quickly, we went from that to that. And now you can go in here, for example, and change any of these colours that you wish. I like it like that, but I'll show you. Double click here and colorize is already selected. But I can go through these to find any combination of hues that you like. I'm going to leave it at red. The last thing I'm going to do with this image, I'm quite happy I could leave it like that, but the last thing I'm going to do, just to hopefully inspire some creativity for this, is I'm going to drop a texture onto this one. And I'm just going to grab any texture, drag and drop, and that's it there. Now it's too big. So I'm going to hold down shift and drag it to the edge. Hold down shift and drag it to that edge. Now, as you can see that's way too big. It's also a smart object. I do not want it as a smart object. So I'm going to right click it and rasterize it. So with that selected, I now go in and I find a blend mode that I like. So in this case, I'm going to leave mine at screen and I'm going to turn the opacity right down. Just so that I have an extra texture running through this image. For me, I'm going to add another texture so you will see the final texture on top of this. And as it's your own creativity, you can add as many textures as you want. You can turn on and off colours as you want them. It is entirely up to you. It's your creativity and your images. I'm going to add one more final texture to this and then I'll show you the final image. Hopefully you get something from that and hopefully there's a small takeaway for you, whether that's just how you use a mask, how you copy a mask up, what you can do with a mask, unlink it, what ideas that can be born from just learning different tools in Photoshop, and in this case in Photoshop. There possibly won't be a video next week because we're off to Wales for a week to do some hiking and some photography, so it'll probably be the week after that before the next video. But all I want to say is thanks again for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.